Hey guys, I'm going to go over the quadratic formula and what it means. A formula is like anything else. It is a process where we plug numbers in, we find these values, we find the values of B, we find the value of A, we find the value of C, and we plug them in to these pieces of the formula, okay? And once we do that, we can find our X values. Remember, a quadratic has two solutions, so that's where this plus and minus comes into play. That will give us both solutions, both places where this quadratic crosses the x-axis. So let's look at an example. I'm going to erase a lot of this because my video messed up, and we're going to go over this process again. Whee! Okay, now, if I'm given this example of 3x squared minus 2x minus 12, this is a regular quadratic equation. So what am I going to do? My first step is to go ahead and identify what my values are so I can use my formula and plug these numbers in. What does A equal? A is 3. B is negative 2 because we keep the negatives, we keep those signs, and C is negative 12. Okay? So now I'm going to plug it into my formula. If you are unconcerned, if you are uncertain how I got those values, this always comes from the standard form quadratic ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This is the standard form of a quadratic. That's where I can get those values, okay? Just in case you didn't remember. Now, going back to my formula, again, I'm using this formula from the first slide, okay? I'm going to replace those values. X is equal to negative, negative, negative B. That's a rhyme in my head. It's just one of those things. What is a negative, negative 2? If you said positive 2, you're right. We always want to just do the opposite of whatever sign they give you. So I'm going to do the opposite of negative 2 right there for my first number, and I'm going to get a positive 2. Now I'm going to return back to my original B when plugging that in. I'm going to do parentheses negative 2 squared minus. It's not a negative, guys. It's a minus sign. 4 stays there. That's part of the original equation, or excuse me, the original formula. So 4 times 3, which is my A value, times C. That becomes my numerator. And now I'm going to finish with my denominator. It's always going to be 2 times whatever my A value is. Okay? So I'm going to begin simplifying this. In this step, I'm going to focus on just the number under the square root because we don't get perfect squares every single time. So we're going to go ahead and just see, well, what number do I get under the radical? If you have your calculator, make sure you plug it in exactly as you see it. Parentheses, negative 2 squared minus 4, parentheses 3, close parentheses, open parentheses, negative 12, close parentheses. That will give me 148. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just do my numerator because I can do that in my head. What's 2 times 3? That's 6. Okay? So far, so good. All right? Now, after I get to this step, I need to check to see if the square root of 148 simplifies. Does this simplify? Now, what am I asking when I say simplify? What I'm asking is for you to break down 148, as seen right here, and see, are there any pairs, which we call perfect pairs of numbers, that we can take out of 148. Now, I know there's a pair of 2's. It's even, it ends with an 8, so I can divide by 2. Then I get 74. It's even again, so I can divide by 2. And 37 is a prime number, so I can't do anything with that. So I can take out that pair of 2's that comes on the outside, and that leaves me with the square root of 37 right there. From here, I can now go back to my equation, to my quadratic formula, and I can say, okay, This right here simplifies. 2 plus or minus 2 square root 37 all over 6. Okay? This is when I told the cheesy joke, 3 parts to my heart. Okay? What are 3 parts to my heart? I'm going to look at the constants and coefficient to see if any of this simplifies. 2 plus or minus 2 and 6, do they share anything? Hopefully you said yes, because they share a 2. So I'm going to divide everything in that equation, except for the radical, because that's not a part of my heart, by 2. So this becomes 1 plus or minus 1 square root 37 over 3. And that is how we solve for the quadratic formula. It is plug and chug. Plug your values in, simplify where necessary. And if all else fails, get me to this point, because I want to see the process. I want to see that you can break it down. I want to see the work. That's what I want to see.